those realms, and it's speaking to us all the time. And so how really do we kind of formulate a framework for this or induct ourselves into this? Well, enter the medicine woman. As we were talking earlier about the kind of a traditional role that many women or certain women through the ages have played as what I said, the keeper of the wisdom or the keeper of the mysteries. Interestingly, when the Vatican put forth that papal bull and it was open season on quote-unquote witches, the first women, men were also tortured and burned as well, but the first women they went after were the crones, the older women, the keepers of the knowledge. They set after them immediately because they were holding all of that. And women have long been associated, as I said earlier, with the invisible realms, with the irrational states, if you will, and with intuition. And also we were talking earlier about, okay, great, I mean, what would that be like if we had sort of centers and these substances were made legal and people could go in and do that. And for myself, I am not decorated with any initials after my name. I am not licensed. And I work one-on-one in a therapeutic way with people, both without the medicine and then at times with the medicine. And I called on through the deep work I have done, but also the mushrooms brought me to my Celtic roots. It's brought I call them the ancestors of my ancestors back in touch with me, so that it has enabled me to work with people in this therapeutic way and in a very, very powerful way. And also, women were also seers. They functioned as seers and oracles, and medicine women, wise women, priestesses, and other names we probably have no record of. And they took these roles seriously, and as I said, were cherished in their communities. And I feel that these women are needed today, truly. And so I just want to talk a bit about Maria Sabina, whose name, of course, has already been mentioned today. And someone already mentioned a little bit of her background. So what I want to share with you is, it has been said in some circles that it is the job of the medicine person to bring through the voice of the mushroom. And there's a woman named Barbara Tedlock, PhD, who wrote a fabulous book called The Woman in the Shaman's Body. I highly recommend that book. And she writes, quote, "Shamans are seers, oracles, and oral poets, and their artistic language creates a healing path for their patients." And so the mushroom connects one to the language of the soul. And so Maria Sabina would repeat these beautiful chants when she was working with the medicine. And so here's one of the chants she would say: "Woman who waits am I. Woman who divines am I. Woman of law am I. Woman of the Southern Cross am I. Woman of the first star am I, for I go up into the sky." And then there was another Mazatec shaman, Irene Pineda de Figueroa, and she too would chant when she was on the medicine, and this is just a sampling of one of her chants. She said, "Woman of medicine and cures, who walks with her appearance and her soul. She is the woman of remedy and medicine, a woman who speaks, a woman who puts everything together, doctor woman, woman of words, wisdom woman of problems." I like that line very much, because these women would work with a patient, and they would take in just the mushrooms, and they would call in spirit and ask spirit to have mercy on this person and to help them to be the conduit and to assist this person. They would be given information about what medicines were needed to heal this person. And I'm going to talk about Julieta de Casimiro in a second. She's one of, well, here she is. She's one of the 13 indigenous grandmothers. I love her, and she's also a Mazatec woman. She's still alive today. And she works with people in that way. And when I am on the medicine working with someone, the mushroom gives me information about what is going on in their psyche, in their soul, what must be addressed there. So I got one of those full-body chills when I had read those words, because I thought, all right, I do this, but not for the physical, but for this, because we have soul sickness or spirit illness. It's in crisis levels in our society. I think we can all agree. The soul of our people has been egregiously damaged. And so grandmother Julia Castellito got married at the age of 17, and her mother-in-law was a traditional Mazatec medicine woman, and she initiated her into working with mushrooms. And so now for 40 years she has been working with people, and they come from all over, and she assists people who are very, very ill, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And she says, quote, "For the work to go well, I am always invoking God." And then she says, quote, "Because we don't have money for doctors, we heal ourselves with the mushrooms. It is believed that God gave mushrooms to the peasants and to those who could not read in order for them to have a direct experience of Him." So this is what it is, I think, some examples of what it is to function as a visionary medicine woman, where you are deeply connected to the mystery, spirit, the ancestors, however you wish to think of it. And then you are in service to these people who are suffering. Now, and this is not just in South America, as I said before, the Celtic people were working with plant and fungi, the Norse, the Africans, the Siberians, North and South Americans. Now, Martin Prechtel, who I adore, said that human survival depends on, quote, "keeping alive the seeds of our original, forgotten, spiritual excellence." And so, we must break the spell of the modern construct. And this is what the beings, the teachers, how they speak with me. They say it is but a spell. It's sorcery, really. I mean, truly, we're to take into account what these behaviorists were doing and saying, and then the folks who were funding them. That is sorcery, that kind of manipulation, to have that deep, deep level of understanding of the inner workings of the psyche. But regular folks don't really have it. They're not aware of it. So this kind of thing is being done, this kind of manipulation. That is sorcery. And so ultimately, I see nature as nature is our mother, and nature has a cure for all our ills. And I feel that she is calling us back through her plants. So for some of us, we are drawn to the visionary plants and fungi, and for others, they want to buy land, they want to grow their own food, they want to connect that to the land. This is a wave, and it's growing, and not just in this country. I always say this kind of awakening that is occurring is the biggest news you'll never hear. And so, for as grim as it appears at times, I actually do have great hope. And I love this picture. This is by my friend Tara Holcomb, and it makes me think of the waters of gnosis and wisdom that we, in these substances, make ourselves available to that, and ultimately open to our intuition, open to the deep mystery of our being, and open to our ancestors as well. So let's see, and then ultimately opening the heart. I really see this as heart medicine. Now, I'm not talking about fluffy bunnies and butterflies when I speak of the heart either, because I worked with a teacher who is very heart-centered, and he would say that the heart center can hold the whole show. So he would say, before you go into shadow, your own shadow, the ego can't really handle that. You must heart center. You must heart center and be in that space, and then let the suchness of what that shadow piece is come into your awareness. So you can work with it, bring it into the light of day. So I'm going to finish, and maybe we'll have time for questions, but I'm going to finish with a poem. I am as medicine, and I really, looking back, see that as a kind of soul training, and the soul doesn't care a fig what the rules of the day are. If you're called, and I was, and I don't do it every month anymore. But I do it when I am called, and so poetry comes in quite often, and so I started asking for poems to finish these talks that I give, because poetry is a language of the soul. It is something that we used to partake of quite a lot before this whole sort of machine culture really gripped us. And I think for anyone who does write poetry, you know that you have to kind of go into a different state of consciousness to write it, to compose it, and then to receive it, whether you're reading it or listening. You have to go into a different state of consciousness to receive it. And so I just invite you to go into even more receptive than maybe you already are. And this is called a new mindset. The spells that bind the untrained mind and steer it away from truth must be sought out with keen, intrepid care and the expertise of a sleuth. For the crafty lies of the potentates who divide the masses and stir up hate must be brought to the light of awareness now, as the earth seeks to show her children how to access wisdom, knowledge, and truth in hopes that it reaches our burgeoning youth, who will carry the torch passed from elders wise. And so now it is time to realize that the long-held secrets kept shadowed are found within plants and fungi that come from the ground, beneath your very feet that walk. It is with you they wish to talk. These are ancient teachers and sages of old that instructed initiates who once were told to carefully tend to the sacred wisdom, to pass it forward from kingdom to kingdom. And now, as our precious earth cries out, the initiates of old are instructed to shout to the sleeping masses who are losing ground to wake up now so they have found a pathway home to truth and light and wisdom that cuts through the dark of this night. The plant teachers break the sorcerer's spell. The fungi will lead you from possible hell to clarity where creativity flows, where the mind, now free, is able to sow the solutions so needed to heal this great earth, to bring us together as kindreds, to birth a new manner of living together on Terra that brings peace to the forefront of this new era, that casts out the trickery, deceit, and lies, and brings us to where we can realize ourselves as noble sons and daughters, flowing within the earthly waters of beauty and wisdom and kindly intention that fans the flames of a new invention, birthed from opening the gates of the heart. The mushroom will guide us where to start, to heal and repair the damage done to all Earth's beings under the sun. The mushroom spirits have much to teach, though some naysayers will call it a reach. Yet the women of wisdom are rising today, and we're just getting started in having our say. So be glad in your hearts, dear ones who fret. We will see that Earth's people do not forget their intrinsic magic and depth of soul and the sacred medicines that make them home.